It's a big chance for the Jaguars to pass a big test against the Bengals offense this Sunday.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is, in fact, your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that you can find everywhere you get your podcast. Just make sure you tap into that location each and every day so you do not miss an episode. I also want to give a special shout out to the everydayers who join us each and every day. And we thank you because we don't take your time for granted. We appreciate you spending 30 minutes with us each and every day. And I hope it's worth your while. And if you're new, good. I hope you can come back too and be a part of the show. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Also, for a little extra information, you can check out our Locked On Podcast newsletter at lockedonpodcast.com/newsletter for the latest from around the National Football League. All right, here we go. I'm going to give you a roadmap to what I believe is a very, very important game for a lot of different reasons here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, I've been covering this team now for almost 2 decades, right at 2 decades. So we've gone through a lot of ebb and flow in terms of we think we're good and then we're not. We think we're good and then we're not. So what I'm going to give you at the end of the show is a big picture view of why I think baby steps are important, but we still need to make sure that we have high expectations. We'll talk about that. How L's can become lessons and losses. I think sometimes you can learn more from winning than losing. We'll hit that. But first, there's a big test for the Jags' new defense. Kudos to Anthony Campanile, the defensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars, for having a sound game plan, making adjustments, making the right substitutions, getting guys to make sure that they stay physical, stayed engaged, turning the ball over, stepping up in key moments on down and distance situations to get those turnovers on downs. That is 5 extra times that the Jaguars were able to touch the football in this game and create some sort of a continuity and field position shifts. Those things are huge because if you stop them from scoring when they're in scoring range, where they could have took points and they didn't, the other part of it is if you stop them from converting at any other part of the field, you're going to get good field position. So it's always good to get those flips on those down and distance or those situations where the ball was turned over on downs, along with the opportunistic turnovers. We had talked all offseason about how they seem to go out and get guys in free agency that played through the whistle. And that was evident with Jordan Lewis, slot corner, as well as Eric Murray, the safety. They made some huge plays that showed you every single little detail counts. And that's one of the things that is very, very encouraging about this defense. Guys weren't out there trying to play for themselves. The defensive linemen kept gap responsibilities. They didn't go chasing sacks, trying to play hero ball. They were disruptive to the point where Bryce Young did have to get off of his square and leave the pocket on several occasions. I just noticed during the game that my expectation level went up with this team. I looked up and I thought they were running the ball and passing the ball and they were getting too much stuff. And then I look up in the fourth quarter and they don't even have 200 yards total offense. And I'm like, what are we doing here, Wig? And I think that that's a natural progression that you get when you start to get confidence in the things that you see. They're dominating, but it doesn't seem like it because you don't want them to get anything. And I believe that mindset comes with being put at ease and being comfortable with the process and how things are going. So it's only one game. It's only one game. So that's why we're going to hit this today, because there's obviously going to be some dips. There're going to be people that watch film. There're going to be people that watch tape. The opponent is going to get better, like the one that the Jaguars are facing this week, at least offensively. the challenges will be different. So it's an ongoing process and it's fluid that this team has to continue to improve and get better. But after 1 week, I'm really, really happy with this process. And that's twofold. There's a lot of reasons why. One, I want to be optimistic and I want to believe in it, but I still had this wait and see attitude, right? And based on the preseason, where they were very, very vanilla, where they were playing different people and guys were trying to get acclimated to a new system. I heard Liam Cohen just a little while ago in his press conference say, "Yeah, we're gonna have to be a little more sticky." Because they play a lot of zone, and now you're going to see them. Joe Burrow gets the ball out if you try to blitz him. He gets it out. He's mobile. He's agile. He'll take off and run. He'll throw on the run. He even has receivers, man, that the ball doesn't have to be perfect. They'll go up and make throws. This is where playing through the whistle is going to come into play. Guys are going to get open. The ball's going to beat you. Guys are going to make plays. But now you got to make the next one. And you got to make the next one. And you got to try to make the next one. And then if a drive doesn't go the way you want it to go, you come over and you regroup, and then you know what? We're going to make a play. And the thought process that Liam Cohen has when he talks about stuff like that, it makes me feel really, really good about the mindset of this team. I hate to go back in the past, but we have to. I mean, they say comparison is the thief of joy, but football is a comparison sport. If you don't believe me, left tackle against defensive end, corner versus wide receiver. The line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, staring each other down, waiting on the ball to get snapped. It is an absolute. It's like a pitcher going against a home run hitter in the bottom of the ninth with 3 balls and 2 strikes. It's boxing. It's the championship rounds. It's comparison. That's what it is. It's competition. It's direct competition between one and the other. So sometimes you also have comparison of memory. And in the past, and the lens that a lot of people look at the Jaguars right now, I had a dude tweet me this morning and say, Trevor looks like the same old guy. No, he doesn't. But I understand that people still have that headache. I used to call it Stockholm Syndrome. I'm going to stop doing that. But they still have the hangover from yesterday. They still have the hangover. So the comparison is, for me, the messaging. The messaging that, hey, guys are going to make plays. You do everything you can to stop it. But when they make one, you make one back. It's the next thing. Because we saw the Jaguars so much in their past get caught up in what had just happened. And they lived in it. They ducked their heads. They had their head down, man. And now the messaging is, no, it ain't all right. But guess what? It's done. You need to go and what's the next thing you're going to do? And the next thing you're going to do. And sooner or later, when they start stringing the next thing together and looking ahead to the next thing and not getting down on the thing that just happened, good things will happen to them. They had a little bit of a funk in the third quarter where things weren't going well. But you know what they did? They relied on their physicality. And I love what Liam said. Somebody asked him today about the distraction of the weather delay. He said, come on, man, it's a weather delay. That's not a real distraction. A distraction is somebody down there with their femur sticking out of their leg. Or a distraction is, quarterback getting a concussion, or, you know what I'm saying? It's not a distraction with a weather delay. And I love the fact that he looks at things that way, because dips are going to happen. There's only been one undefeated team to ever play and win a championship. And that was the 72 Miami Dolphins. Dips are going to happen. And that's why I'm going to lead into the next segment talking about how losses can be lessons. Everybody talks about you're going to take this L. You can learn a lot from a loss. I'm not trying to preempt the Jaguar fans that they're going to lose this weekend. But what I am telling you is sometimes you can learn more from things that you have to go through and look at the big picture as opposed to looking at it like, oh, here we go again, same old Jaguar. So I'm trying to prepare you and give you a roadmap to make sure that you stay sane while we watch this thing come together. We'll use some teams from the past, and I'll explain that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. Listen up, man. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to make your bets and wagers. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sunday. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And today's show is brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. You talk about a game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Join the free Trade Master Program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the code SHNFL5 for 5% off your order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Moving and grooving on this hump day here in North Florida. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast. We're talking about these new horizons, right? The defense played well the other day, albeit against a team that wasn't expected to be very good. However, I do caution everyone that the Jaguars did pick ahead of the Carolina Panthers in the draft for a reason, right? So the record indicated that the Jaguars themselves can't be looking at nobody saying how good they were or weren't last year. We can only go by what the first year of this new regime versus the second year of Carolina's regime. And so far, so good. Cincinnati poses a whole different set of problems for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You'll learn more about the Bengals and the Jaguars matchup on our crossover, our Thursday crossover presented by Prize Picks. That will be tomorrow with my man James Rapine from Locked On Bengals. We discussed the matchups and all of the keys to victory for that. So make sure you tap into that. But right now, I want to warn you, I'm not preempting you that the Jaguars are going to lose, but I am preparing you that it's important that we take the lessons from the L as opposed to looking at it just like a loss and then want to attach that to everything from the past, saying that here we go again. Now, and by no means am I trying to teach fans how to fan. Now, but there are people that be like, Wig, help me out, man. I got anxiety, bro. I'm still thinking about the past. And there's some things, like I said, somebody was telling me that Trevor looks like he looked last year. And I don't know what they saw, but whatever it is, it's motivated and rooted by pain and passion and the desire for them to get better. So we ain't going to poke at people and tell them they're crazy. We're just going to try to pacify that a little bit and electrify them enough that they start learning that there's a new way of doing business. And I'll look no further than Tampa, the Patriots, the Rams. Y'all might not believe this. I'm gonna hit you with something now. The Rams were terrible and they left St. Louis. Those LA Rams, well, I don't know what they left, like 6-7 years ago or something like that. They're bad enough that the city of St. Louis was just like, all right, good riddance. There were some people that were upset at about it, you know, and I know it's more to it in economics and the economy and all of that stuff and public funds. And there wasn't a whole bunch of, like, people cried when the coach left Baltimore, right? The Rams are like this model franchise right now in terms of their football operations. And I remember when that didn't happen. The perspective that I'm giving you is I remember when Minnesota stunk and they haven't won anything, but at least they're thought of as a well-run organization that has a chance and a shot to eventually be really, really good. And there are so many times that I've talked about the Jaguars needing to get into that space for the fans to really take in and absorb this process. And it's hard because the Jags have been so bad, the fans just want them to be good. So in 2017, that happened, and it was short-lived, and then they went back to being bad. Early in the franchises, from the inception of this franchise, 2 years after they got a team here in Jacksonville, they were in the AFC Championship game. And then they missed the playoffs. And then they went back to the AFC Championship game and then didn't sniff the playoffs for years after that. So you can rush to get better, or if it comes, fine. But if it doesn't, we can just walk this thing as long, and fans will be fine with it. But what fans really want is they absolutely want proof that this thing is improving. An L, if you look at it as a loss in the win column, should not be the thing that turns, a fan back to the past. There are lessons in all of this. First of all, they're not going undefeated. And I said that, but if they happen to, I'll apologize, and this will be on awful announcing or something, but I don't think they will, right? More importantly, there were 16 teams that won and 16 teams that lost. You think those 16 teams are the best 16 teams in the National Football League? No. This is a process. And what we want to see with the Bengals is we want to see that process continue to work. You want to see them learn quickly from their mistakes. You want to see them bounce back from a bad play. You want to see Trevor Lawrence make some steps, albeit now, look, he's playing against Joe Burrow. And history will show you that anytime Trevor Lawrence lines up against a really, really talented quarterback like that, he's beaten Josh Allen. He's dueled Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. The last time they were up there, I think it was on a Thursday night. It might have been Thursday. And they went down to the wire. We've seen him outplay C.J. Stroud in games. We've seen him stand right there and go blow for blow with Patrick Mahomes. We've seen him outplay Justin Herbert. We've seen him outplay Lamar Jackson when they played head-to-head, or at least have a stalemate at the quarterback position. So you just want to see him do it to the point where it starts to take that anxiety away. You want to see the offensive line respond again with no sacks and no pressures and be ranked as by whatever metric is being used. Said they had the best week of any offensive line last week. You can actually do that in a loss. There are some people like, for instance, the Baltimore Ravens fans right now. They're hurt because that loss feels just like all those other losses. But the bottom line is they got a real good team, and they lost to a team that is also a real, real good team. So nothing from week one makes you think, okay, we've arrived. We're on our way. We're almost there, right? So nothing from week two should make you go back the other way and say, same old Jaguars. I think they're going to win the game. And I think they're going to win it in a very workmanlike way. I believe the special teams is going to have a lot to do with it, the kicking game. I just think the Jaguars are that type of team right now, while they're still trying to figure out who they are and what they are, that they're going to be able to be in the moment offensively and defensively and make the plays that they have to win the game. But even when they win, I'm not going to sit here and act like, okay, we arrived, they're going to the Super Bowl. This is still a process. So I'm just trying to warn you, just like you can sit here and say, yeah, they won, but prepare yourself. At some point, you're going to say, yeah, they lost, but, okay? I just want to see them week by week learn. Tampa Bay did it. Tampa's been horrible over the years, and then when they were good enough, like right now, they're one of the teams that are built correctly, and they have a chance and a shot every single week to beat anybody. We saw Detroit that way for years. We saw Philly that way, up and down, trying to get there, trying to go back and look at the first time Jalen Hurts played in the playoffs against Tampa. You wouldn't even think that that's the same team that's the Super Bowl favorite that just won a Super Bowl. Go back and look at the game when Tom Brady was in Tampa and Jalen Hurts took his team down there, and watch what happens. They don't even look like the team that has all of those great offensive linemen and all of that stuff. It just looks like two totally different things because they were in a learning process of trying to figure out how to be the type of team that they have now become. And I think the Jaguars can take that walk a little bit too. We just got to see it for what it is. All right, a big picture view of what we'll see this weekend and moving forward. We'll get to it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else as of August 25th, 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, going to give you something to take away with you on this Wednesday here on Locked On Jaguars. The big picture view. What do I see that I really, really like about the Jacksonville Jaguars? It seems like the coaching staff thinks about everything. Everything is important, from mindset to execution. And Liam Cohen said something today. He said, when he was asked about the rotations and he was asked about getting guys in, he said, yeah, it's good to get everybody out there. I'm paraphrasing. He said, it's good to get everybody there, but at some point, you got to just go win the game, right? And that means that he has an understanding as a first-time head coach of the big picture. And that's one of the things that everyone wondered. Like, okay, you're used to being a play caller. Are you going to be able to now be a game manager? Are you going to be able to be a CEO and see the big picture? And I think he's so conscientious about all of those things, from the way that they use the timeouts, the way that the other day, like right before the half, when they started using their timeouts to save them some time because they know that they have Cam who can kick it from St. Augustine, right? It's just all of those little things, man, came together. And I was watching that. I was watching, okay, it's 1st and 28 or 1st and 25. What are they going to do here? And it's like, okay, we're going to get 7. All right, so now it's 2nd and 18, right? Okay, what do they do here? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run the ball because they're sitting here and empty and they're backed off because they think, and we're going to get 6, right? Now it's 3rd and 12, 13-yard, 14-yard completion on a curl. There you go. Bang. It's just like everything is, okay, not woe is me. This is the situation we're in. What do we do now? And just from that game situation, I also believe that they're also thinking big picture, from not only from play to play, from quarter to quarter, but from game to game and where they are as a franchise, but not really getting ahead of it, understanding that you have to work through it in order to get to where you want to be. It's also apparent that even in the front office that it's like they're tapped into the coach without being in the way. And what I mean by that is, you're watching the game, you're seeing the game unfold, you're watching Bashaw Tootin, you're watching LaQuint Allen get good snaps, you're watching Travis Etienne, and you went to the hot guy. Tank Bigsby, who's been traded to the Eagles, had a couple of touches in the game, and a dynamic run, I think, that was taken away by a penalty. It wasn't of the fault of his, but you realize watching the game, okay, this is what we thought. And I don't think that they moved Tank Bigsby because they got to the game and it was just like, oh, a revelation just hit them of what they have. No, I think they went into this game knowing what they have, and they really wanted confirmation to see exactly how their young guys played, whether it be from pass protection. Did they see the game? Was the game too big for them? And I think that goes back to scouting, deep level scouting. I can't remember the running back that they took in the 5th round a few years ago out of Ole Miss when Trent was the GM. And I never saw them do anything like the 2 guys that I saw them, like the 2 rookies that I just mentioned. The Jaguars just seem like under James Gladstone that they have their finger on the pulse of this team to the point where they know exactly what this team needs when they need it. It's like a cook cooking, and he ain't using no measuring. He ain't using no measuring spoon. And no, he knows we need a pinch of this and a pinch of that, and I know exactly where to go get it. And that's what this feels like. So there's just this continuity from a big picture standpoint, from the coaching to the attitude of the players to the personnel moves, the little subtle moves that this team makes. It's obvious right now that James Gladstone knows exactly what this team needs to support Liam Cohen. And that goes back to support the thing that I have always been a champion for, and that is alignment in the personnel department and football operations, along with what you see and expect and what you're teaching on the field. More than anything, more than Travis Etienne having a bust out year, or more than them being right about Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray's impact, and more than them being still scrutinized a little bit about whether or not Travis Hunter should play offense or defense. Shout out to Rex Ryan. Rex had a good point. I'll get into that in just a second. But from a big picture perspective, I think they really, really get it. And that, to me, is going to be worth a few games. I don't know how you measure it, but I think that's going to be worth a few games moving forward for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, speaking of Travis Hunter or Rex Ryan said that, okay, this ain't going to work out with him doing both ways. And one of the concerns I had about Travis Hunter was Rex put it differently than I would have. Rex said, so what you're going to get is an average corner and an average wide receiver by mixing and matching. That's one of the concerns that y'all have heard me voice. I never used average. I said good. I said you get a good. I think Travis Hunter's a good corner rolling out of bed. I think he's a good wide receiver rolling out of bed. I mean, he looked the part the other day. He didn't get big plays, but he was patient and he didn't get upset, and he was smiling when other guys were making plays. And it's all about winning. And I told you, winning cancels a whole bunch of stuff. But don't dismiss what Rex says, because this is something that we have to see, right? And that's why I told people, and I mentioned this to Jared Bell from USA Today when he was here at practice. I say, this might not be statistical domination. And that might be a reason why people point to that this trade shouldn't have gone down. This might be a situation where it is Reggie Bush, where his impact is made from big plays that he makes that help you win, combined with his presence on the field that makes things easier for everybody else. It's like, this might be what that is until it isn't, right? But the bigger the situation that the team puts him in, the bigger those plays will be, a la Percy Harvin in the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks against the Denver Broncos. This might be that. We don't know. We've yet to figure it out. But what I am confident is that he's going to keep working. He's going to get better. He's going to keep improving on both sides of the ball. And the Jaguars coaches are going to figure it out. And eventually, Travis Hunter will be someone you won't have people doubting whether or not he was worth 2 first-round picks and the change that was sent to Cleveland for him. So Rex made a good point. We're not going to be dismissive of it. I woke up in the right mood where I didn't want to rip him, but it's something I think you need to watch and monitor. And I think what he said has a little bit, without using the word average, I would never use that when I talk about a guy like Travis Hunter. I do believe that what he said has some validation to it, but what he's missing is, I think the Jaguars coaches know that. I think the GM knows it. I think Travis Hunter knows it. And I think everyone else knows it, that they're figuring it out as we move forward. And they're going to do this in the best interest of not only the team, but in the best interest of Travis Hunter as well. Check out Locked On NFL. Your boy has another show that he does every day. Has a lot to do with sometimes why you don't see me at the facility as much, because I usually record that show around the time that the Jaguars are having press conferences. But you want your finger on the pulse of the entire NFL? There it is, man, because Tyler Rowland, Tyler Rowland wakes you up like a double shot of espresso in the morning, and I slide through in the afternoon on the barbershop, give you a little bit of what I do. And everybody knows what I do, man. We keep it smooth, but you'll enjoy it. Go over to Locked On NFL. Make sure you like and subscribe and watch it wherever you get your podcast. Crossover Thursday is tomorrow. James Rapine and I from James from Locked On Bengals. Have a good show for you. Looking forward to it. We appreciate you spending 30 minutes with us each and every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We do not take your time for granted. We know it is your most available and your most precious resource, so we don't want to play around with that. We consider that a big responsibility. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time here on Locked On NFL.